Riot Games is a company that has built an empire atop a single brick. League of Legends has been a massively successful game. The model of a free-to-play game with cosmetic microtransactions inside of a competitive game has been a stellar monetization structure. This has played a part in creating one of the largest, most well-known IPs of all time. Riot has also been hard at work in a different way in the League of Legends space. They've been revamping the story world to make it far more compelling, and boy has it worked. The universe that holds the story of their flagship IP is deep, compelling, and fun. The lore is great in many ways. And now they're going to be expanding that world that they've curated into a game genre that has the ability to tell a story far better than a competitive arena game could ever possibly hope to. You see, massively multiplayer online role-playing games have been largely bloated as of the last little while. There have been negligibly few good games that have come out, and the staples like World of Warcraft have been inching ever closer to death. It is my belief that the Riot MMO will breathe a new air into the space. Even if you're not a fan of League of Legends or any other Riot products, it's hard to deny the fact that Riot has a tendency to make highly polished and industry-ready games. These games also have an amazing track record of being highly successful. The current formula seems to be that they take a pre-existing idea, or a game, which they then polish and attempt to modernize with newer monetization methods, mechanics, and graphics. They then try to make the game more accessible to a wider audience by lowering the skill limit needed to compete, and adding party game mechanics so you're able to have fun with friends more casually, all without paying a cent. So far, this formula has worked every single time, and every single one of Riot's games has been a massive success in its genre. League of Legends capitalized on Defense of the Ancients in a way that Dota 2 was never quite able to encapsulate. Valorant has taken a significant portion of the tactical shooter market from CSGO, even though the latter has still thrived and grown. Valorant had also all but killed Overwatch on its release, seeing many pros and casual players swapping over to the tactical shooter that was more forgiving than CSGO. We're seeing more and more Legends of Runeterra players making the trek from Hearthstone, and Teamfight Tactics is, well, the only auto-battler that is still alive and well. All in all, it seems that Riot is going after market share in various game genres, and if the past is any indicator of how successful the Riot MMO marketing campaign, launch, and game quality will be, World of Warcraft has its work cut out for them. Ghostcrawler is a seasoned veteran of the game development industry. He worked on Age of Empires 2, switching over to World of Warcraft, and eventually to Riot, working on League of Legends team before being named the lead designer on the MMO. Ghostcrawler is well known to enjoy endgame raiding and dungeon content, and has specifically said in tweets that he would be crushed if he failed to live up to the promise of endgame raiding content. As well as that, it's a lesser known fact that Ghostcrawler was also a huge fan of PvP content. So hopefully we're going to see both fun open world PvP, as well as more competitive modes like arenas. Ghostcrawler has been super active on Twitter, responding to many tweets asking different questions about the MMO, and I'm going to be working on a video going over all of the Ghostcrawler MMO tweets pretty soon, so stay tuned for that. The fact that Riot Games, while trying to capitalize off of the success of its competitors in their given space, still attempts to revolutionize, modernize, and change the genre in their own unique way makes me wonder what exact systems within their MMO will be. Honestly, I have no clue what these exact systems will be, and we can make guesses and speculations, but I'm going to be saving that for a different video once again. But what we can safely assume is there will be some type of gearing, dungeons, raids, PvP content, and a lot of social appeal to the game. Riot has at least always in part focused on the social aspect of games. It's a common theme that they try to push the fact that you can play with big groups of friends and you can bring new friends into play and you can have fun, casually playing with groups of friends. I couldn't see Riot trying to focus too much on strange secondary systems of the game like World of Warcraft has been. And by secondary systems, I mean things like daily quests that force you to play every day if you don't have the time to. Or a strange emphasis on single-player instance dungeons, when the game is supposed to be a big MMO that you share the space with all these other players. I think that Riot will likely focus on the core of the gameplay and try to refine that out to make it the foundation as fun as possible, and then go from there. Another thing that Riot has absolutely excelled at is the hype they build around the launch of a new product. Arcane is the most recent example of this. In a single day, they sent the Arcane category on Twitch skyrocketing to be one of the highest peak viewer categories of all time. Everybody who played League or not was talking about Arcane before it came out. They sent their fans to do the work for them, meaning bringing people into the fold who either don't like League or don't play games at all, converting them into fans of the Runeterra IP through word of mouth. Before the release of the TV show, they had Arcane-themed restaurants popping up, announcements of crossovers from everything from PUBG to Fortnite. They had a massive live-streamed launch event, and all around just successfully built hype around the show. Valorant is another shining example. Their open beta and release were successful to the point that the game had almost no room to fail after such a strong opening. The production timeline of the Riot MMO is hazy to say the least, though. I've watched a ton of videos about it and done a ton of research to try to pin down on a possible release date, which has so far eluded me. My best guess, though, is that we're looking at a release date in 2023 to 2024, which in a weird way also leads me to believe that Riot may try to build early hype by an announcement that perhaps the game will enter beta in late 2022 or early 2023. An earlier than expected release date is also supported by the fact that they're hiring for a lot of later in development cycle jobs, and that they've been a fan of announcing games and then releasing them very shortly after, like once again they did with Valorant. And yes, a year is shortly after. Personally, I wouldn't be surprised if Riot had been working on their MMO for years before Ghostcrawler's tweets, building the foundation and the framework of the game. That being said, Riot will only release the game when it's polished to their satisfaction, and MMOs are an incredibly big game to complete in full. At the end of the day, we just have to wait and see for a lot of these features, and hope that Riot's MMO isn't their first flop. Are you looking forward to Riot's MMO? Subscribe to our YouTube page for more news, analysis, and speculation.